Plantation. Yeah, man. A reasoning.
A reasoning.
Yeah.
With Dave Gosse, who published with University Press in 2012. A book, this one here, called Abolition and Plantation Management in Jamaica, 1807 to 1838. And Dr. Gosse lectures in the Department of History at the Mono campus here at the University of the West Indies. History and archaeology.
Yes, can't leave out archaeology.
And you're a history specialist.
Yes,
and what area of history you tend to
Caribbean, Latin America.
To be focusing on right now?
Well, Caribbean, Latin America is my main area, but I actually teach many African history courses, frankly.
Yes.
That's where the need really is.
Right.
Yes.
And certainly this publication is somewhat about the African diaspora. Particularly in Jamaica. And you do actually do a comparative look at Jamaica, Barbados in relation to what happened after slavery, the trade, the trafficking in Africa was abolished in 1807.
Right, yes.
Right? And what happened before that and what happened after that? One would think that the abolition of the trade would cause certain problems, or probably even certain possibilities to overcome. For example, we know that prior to 1807, people could get more Africans to buy on the market and so on. If that source is shut off, then it would cost more if you have less of this commodity called the African on the market. So what are some of the problems with that after 1807?
Yes, good observation, Prof. One important thing to note that the basic pillar behind this book is actually the problems which occurred after 1807.
Yes.
Right? Now, there's a big debate regarding the purpose of abolition, which is a separate book by itself, right? But what I found in Jamaica in particular is that after the so-called dried up that source, because it took a long time before it was actually dried up, right? In terms of persons no longer coming to the Caribbean. But up to about 1814, 1815, they're still smuggling people in, right? We know that. But what it did, it created problems for plantation managers. Because here were men and women, right, predominantly men, who were accustomed to using a slave until by when he reaches 30, he's worn out. You just replace him, get another one, like you buying a tire and a car. You can always buy another tire, no problem. But when you can't get another tire,
you have to
take care of the present one.
Yes.
And this is where they had significant problems. The mindset could not be, wasn't changed, that a new paradigm is now in place. And that's what created the problem for these guys. So, for example, one thing that I found very interesting, which actually shocked me, was that by about, say, 1815, 1816, a man wants to buy 20 new slaves on his plantation, right? He has to get them internally now. Probably somebody going into business or somebody from coffee. They were marrying them. Marrying them in the sense. No, not in that sense. Like, or Jamaican concept, that when times were hard, you marry goods, Yes.
In fact, we need to explain that. When we say we marry,
Jamaican.
Like if say chicken
short
on the market, and you went to a shop to purchase chicken.
Yes.
You can't get chicken unless you buy some flour.
Yeah, exactly right. Yes. Marry them. So it created more problems because what you find happening now, you buy 30 new enslaved people, new in the sense that you just purchase them.
Yeah.
But sometimes only 10 really healthy. Yeah. So you end up, so it created more problems on the plantation. And what I think that my book sought to do was to test the relationship between plantation management and production. Not productivity in the sense of whether making any money or not, but in terms of like food production figures. They made 300 hectares of sugar last year, 50 punches of rum last year. This year they make 250. Why? The other year they make 200. We try to figure out what if management had a role in that. Yeah. And so, give me 1807 context of the abolition of the slave trade. What eventually happened now was that a lot of internal pressures were now placed on plantation managers. And my conclusion is that they didn't handle it very, very well.
Right. So they were supposed, the conditions should have made them more efficient.
Right.
More innovative.
Yeah, based on the design, so-called design of abolition.
But it is still slavery.
Still slavery. Right? Of course it's slavery.
So
yes.
how do you know in a new situation where the supply of
labor is decreasing,
coercive labor,
labor
that was coerced, working for nothing. How no? With a shortage of that due to the abolition of the trade.
Yes.
How does that know? How do you cope?
With
managing with this limited amount. That because there's no external source to that. No? What are some of the things that they should have done, but not
good question.
They were not able to do it because of, as you said, because of their
own mindset.
Their own psychology, their own mentality, their own way, their conception of Africans as lesser human beings,
exactly right,
and therefore should be treated a certain way. Now they are being forced to think differently. But did they?
No, they didn't. By and large, they didn't. For example, 3 critical issues I highlighted in the book. One is what I call ambiguous management. The whole management structure had to change. One of the problems by this century, by that period in Jamaica, is that most of our planters who own the plantation live overseas.
Yes.
Many of them have never ever come to see what the realities were in Jamaica. Right? So you find out that so he employs an attorney, and he wants the best attorney he can find. An attorney, not a lawyer who we call a lawyer, but somebody who legally represents him here in Jamaica. So they would choose people sometimes that had like 10 themselves, 15 plantations themselves. So he's not even there himself. He passed through every and again. So he decided he has to use now the attorney has to use his overseer, more or less. So for some that never oversee himself is also an absentee. He too now trying to make money, hustle money, can he have a plantation over the other side of the road or whatever. He's trying to hustle that over there. So sometimes it was left to sometimes plantation clerks and bookkeepers to run the plantation on a daily basis. So we find that their interests and interests of the planter over there converge. They're not together. Yeah. So a lot of pilferage, a lot of stealing, a lot of padding of the books, a lot of things are actually happening in an era where you need more efficiency, right? So the structure of plantation alone is one problem that was not really dealt with on a large scale. Mm-hmm. Second problem you had now was the issue now of health, the health of the enslaved people. And what I found which was very interesting on some plantations, that when you look at some lists actually give you an idea. They have a category of four categories. They will tell you those who are weak, those who are able, those who are healthy, and those who are invalid. And when you check it out many times, for you to do a calculation, I try to do on some of the plantations in my book, sometimes about 1/3 of the plantation force is actually healthy. So what it means, obviously, there will be decline in production, in food production figures, levels. And that's one of the reasons you're finding then that on many plantations now in the early 19th century in Jamaica, the crude production was actually declining. And the average for Jamaica, by the way, was actually declining in that period because of the internal pressures triggered by the Abolition Act. So the issue of health was something that they should have done better with. Interestingly, children, there's a part of the plantation called Worthy Park, which we all know about. Worthy Park survives today and a very prosperous plantation today. But in the early 19th century, the mortality rate on that plantation were among children ages 1 to 10, the highest category of death. And you're in second. Yes, they were one of the better ones. But better in the sense that the guy who ran it, Rose Price, now, he was a smarter guy. He came out here for a few years to learn what the thing was all about and to make sure that he set up a system that when he goes back over, anybody who writes it in report, he can say, you're talking foolishness. So he had a system set up. And plus, he married, based on his marriage, he was had access to wealth and stuff like that. So he was able to get people, pad the plantation with more people, because he was able to buy people, even whatever it costs. He had the money. So he was able to buy, so he didn't suffer from inadequate labor as other plantations, but you could still see declining production figures, because he was losing the 1 to 10, and the 21 to 30 was the second highest area for death. Your main task force.
Yeah, because that would be the main group. But why were they dying?
Because overwork. They killed, because, I mean, interesting at Worthy Park, they started the children's gang at, say, age 7 or age 8, when normally around age 11 or age 12 you actually start. So they started earlier. So you find, we look at the invalid list. Yes. Invalid list have people here 25 weak, worn out, 30 weak and worn out.
Right. So what we are seeing is the development in after 1807 of
right.
some of the problems, some of them which are carried over from the old system.
Exactly.
But we
right.
do know as well. I mean, reading Sheridan, and reading Dunn, that because people could easily have bought Africans on the market.
Right, yes,
they just work
them straight. Exactly
to get the most out of them in the shortest period of time.
Right. And that then, continued. Yes. And that's why then, by age 30 or so now, then, they are losing. One, if health is inadequate, if you have disease environment all over the place, right? Poor diet, poor living conditions, right? Overwork. By the time you reach 25 or 30, you are worn out, and you look at the pension list, you see it, where they are worn out so quickly.
In fact, prior to 1807, it was said that they would get a good 7 years out of each enslaved person. Now, if you seek to carry over some of that practice in a condition where they don't have the market, the open market
as before,
to purchase
as before,
then the level of the fertility level,
will continue to decline.
The ability of Africans to reproduce themselves, would be going down.
Yeah, exactly right. So all indicators are becoming very negative, right? And that's why, and for them now, for the planters now, they still believe in this harsh treatment. For example, some of the coffee planters in Jamaica now came with an initiative we call task work. Because they recognize that, you know what happened, man? It is better we give the guys a group of work to do as a task. And when they complete the task, you actually give them a little reward to finish it. That way, you preserve their health, right? They get a little monetary reward.
They used to?
Yes, man. So you find that they would perform much better.
Where does that happen?
For example, in the internal part of the island, for example, Manchester, by about 18...
Well, Manchester wasn't even a cane parish.
Yeah, coffee right. So the internal part of the island now, because since Haiti declined, you find that now coffee now became a major, right. So so by middle 18, it's booming. Mm-hmm. It's a whole internal economy is developing around coffee. But by about 1820 now, coffee is now on the decline because of the world market prices are lowering. So that's where a lot of the sugar planters get their enslaved people from.
From
the coffee planters. Yeah. Right. So one, they're not using this kind of heavy, arduous kind of work. Two, they use the kind of work regime where they do tasks and get a little reward at the end. Right? So to have them now working on these plantations now in the plantation sugar style is a different whole ball game as far as they're concerned. So the point I'm making now is that the overall health of the enslaved people were actually declining precipitously, right?
How would you compare that with pre 1807?
It didn't matter.
It
didn't matter. If you die, no problem, because enslaved people were cheap.
Yes. But it matters after.
It matters afterwards. That's the point.
Yes.
So that's why it required a whole new mindset, and that's why I entitled the book Abolition and Plantation Management, because I want to make the point that the abolition of the slave trade, whatever the design was, right, had a significant impact on early 19th century management that should have required a new approach to management, which didn't happen because of the whole social idea of what, and that's one thing about slavery, that although the people are enslaved, to some extent the people are running them as well, are also, to some extent,
their mentality, their social psychology,
exactly
the way they think, the way they construct meanings.
Yes, exactly. And
their emotional connection or disconnection, and so on, would have actually influenced the way they manage, the way they do things.
Yeah, and that's why, for example, now the famous economist Adam Smith in the 1780s, 70s, whatever, 70, when he wrote that thing, made the point that in a matter of time, slave labor is of the past, will be of the past, because of the dynamics.
Because you begin to see like Adam Smith,
right.
About comparing wage labor, with
slave labor. Right? Yeah, it's nothing in the past, because already mentally, when a man has another person enslaved, you think a certain way, and even when the conditions change, you have to first of all free your mind of that whole social thing. And in the future, there's something about this whole idea of race as a significant portion. I think race, I didn't develop it here significantly, but race has a significant bearing also on this idea of decline as well, because how you think, you cannot see these guys now as people worthy enough to say, all right, you go out there and you produce that amount of sugar, and I'll give you, at the end of the day, I'll give you a little more sweetening, kind of thing.
But that mentality also carried out, was apparent after emancipation.
And the significant point now, that is why now in the early 1900s in Jamaica now, there's so much conflict between management and worker, leading back to your work and by more in 1865, because they have contempt for Africans.
Because even though slavery was abolished,
right,
the class of slaveholders was not abolished.
Right.
They could not own property. Africans as property. But they still run the place.
Right. And the mindset still hadn't changed then. Yes. And that's why this struggle for the Jamaican black man rights as an individual to be respected, to be given due diligence in terms of like work, compensating pay with work, right? It's still a problem, because I don't know even today if our contemporary managers who run all these agencies and businesses and all that, if they don't have the same kind of mindset.
Well, probably that is the significance of your book.
Right.
Certainly one of the importance of your book is to see how management, at least this would become a basis to study how management evolved in a country like Jamaica. To see the extent to which the type of culture, the type of way of thinking